If you can't find a reliable way to implement Google Sign-in with React Native and Expo, by the end of this video, we will get Google Sign-in working in your Expo standalone application and APK. The package you are going to use is Expo Google Sign-in. So we run Expo install Expo Google Sign-in in your project directory. While the package installs, let's create some Google credentials that we need. So we'll visit the Google Cloud Console and create a project. We click on the drop down here to create a new project. We give our project a name and click on create. Once it is done, we select the project. Now we'll visit the credentials page, which can be found under APIs and services. First, we configure the consent screen. For the user type, we select external. We give our app a name and we provide an email. If you have a logo, we can upload it as well. We enter our email once again. We can skip this step. We can skip this as well. And then we can go back to our credentials page. Now we'll create some credentials. So we click on create credentials and we'll choose the OAuth client ID. The first one that we'll create will be for the iOS platform. Now we'll give the credential a name. So this one I'll just say iOS app. Now for the bundle ID, we can provide a value that looks like a reverse domain. So I'll use com.flowercrib.app. The value doesn't have to point to an actual domain or anything, but you have to keep note of it because we'll be using it later on in the build process. If you have an App Store ID and a team ID, you can provide them here, otherwise you click on create. Now we'll create the credentials for the Android platform. The application type will be Android and we'll provide it a name. I'll call mine Android app. Now for the package name, we can use the same value that we used for the iOS bundle ID. Now for the certificate fingerprint, we need to head to our command line and run a command. In our project directory, we run Expo Credentials Manager and pass the Android flag. We confirm the project by pressing Y, and then we choose Update Upload Key Store, and then Generate New Key Store. Now we go back to the Experience Overview and copy the Google Certificate fingerprint. Back in the browser, we paste the value. Now we can complete the creation. Once we have the credentials like so, we configure our App.json file. Starting with the iOS key, we add the bundle identifier. This will have the same value that we provided in the Google Cloud Console. So this will become .flowercrib.app. Next, we add a config key. Inside the config key, we target Google Sign-in. Now inside the Google Sign-in key, we target reserved client ID. Now this reserved client ID value can be found on the Google Cloud Console. So on the credentials page, we open iOS app. On the right side, we see the values here and we copy the iOS URL scheme. That's the value that we will use. Once we are done with that, we move to the Android section. Under the Android key, we add a package key. This will have the same value as our bundle identifier and it will become .flowercrib.app. With the configurations done, we move to the fun part. In the login file of your app, we import Google Sign-in. Now we set up a function to initialize Google Sign-in. We'll call this function initAsync. Inside the function, we open a try-catch block. Inside the try, we'll call the initAsync function on Google Sign-in. This will help to configure it. This initAsync method would take a client ID value. It only accepts one client ID. But here's the case that we have two of them. We have one for Android and one for iOS. So we have to find a way to supply the right client ID at the right time. So to do this, we'll make use of the platform module from React Native. So with the platform module, we'll be able to check whether we are on Android or iOS and supply the right client ID. So we create variables to store the client ID just above the initAsync function. For the value, we copy it from the browser. And we do the same for the iOS client ID. Now using platform.os, we check whether we are on Android and supply the Android client ID. Otherwise, we supply the iOS client ID. Now since the initAsync function configures the Google Sign-in, we want that to run each time the application starts. So to do that, we'll make use of the useEffect hook to run the initAsync function. So we import it from React. Inside useEffect, we run initAsync. Now the initAsync here should be an async function. Done with the Google Sign-in configurations, if a user is already logged in, we should have a way of fetching the details. So let's create a function to handle that. We'll call that getUserDetails. In getUserDetails, we first run the sign-in silently method on Google Sign-in. This method will return the currently authenticated user without having to initialize the whole authentication flow. After a successful return, we need to save the data. If you are using states, you can update the states. You can also navigate to the next screen and pass the data along. For this app, I have a function that I use to handle data. It makes use of async storage and context. So I'll pass the user data to it once it's available. Now we'll make use of the get user details in the init async function. Also, we can catch some errors and log it to the console. On the screen now are the awesome guys who support me on Patreon. Thank you to them, and you can become one by using the link in the description below. Now for a way to kickstart the Google sign-in process, we create a handle Google sign-in function. But there is something you need to keep in mind. To be able to test the Google sign-in process, you need to complete the code and build an APK. This is because the Google sign-in process cannot run in the Expo client application. Now the handle Google sign-in will be an async function, and we'll put our try-catch block in it. First, we'll run the ask for play services async method on Google sign-in. This function works on Android only, and it is there to ensure that your Google Play services are up to date, since it is required for the Google sign-in process to work. Right after that, we can trigger the sign-in process with the sign-in async method on Google sign-in. Now this will return a type and a user. The type refers to the status of the response that we receive. It can be either cancel or success. If it is cancel, it means that the Google sign-in process was aborted by the user. If it is success, it means that the process completed successfully, and the user value will contain the details about the currently authenticated user. If our type is success, we want to fetch the current data, save it properly, and move to the next screen. So we'll do that by calling the get user details function. If the type is not success, we want to return an error message. You can make use of the alert function here, but in the app, I have a custom function to handle error messages, so I'll use it here. In the catch block, we return an error message as well. Now we look for our button and make sure that the handle Google sign-in function has been passed to it. Locating the button, we see that the handle Google sign-in function has been passed to the onPress property, which is fine. We see a Google submitting property here. This is a state which is toggled to display an activity indicator whenever the Google sign-in button is pressed. So in the functions above, we need to set the value of the Google submitting. So over here, we set Google submitting to true. Now we copy and paste it a few times. Once we have an error, we need to set the value to false. We need to paste it here as well. Now at the point where we get the user details, we need to make sure that the submitting is false as well. So how about logout? On the page where we have the logout button, we make use of Google to log out as well. In my case, the page is the welcome page. So I have a logout button here, which triggers the clear login function. This function just removes the content of the async storage and also my context. Inside this function, I also need to make use of Google sign-in to log out the currently authenticated user. But since the Google sign-in will not work in the Expo client application, that is, if you are in development, we need to find a way to run the Google sign-in logout only if you are in production. So we make use of the _dev construct to check if you are not in production before we run the logout for the Google sign-in. So we import Google sign-in and we convert the clear login function to an async function. Now all the content will be wrapped in a try-catch block. Now if you are not in development, we make use of the sign out async function on Google sign-in, and we'll still go ahead to remove the async storage content. To make it clearer, we make use of our wait here too. For the else block, that is if you are in development, we'll just remove the async storage content. Now for the last part, no matter what, we'll clear the content of the stored credentials. Now in the catch block, if you have an error message, we can fetch it and alert it. Now we need to accommodate the data that we receive from Google and pick the properties that we need from it. On my welcome page, I make use of the name, email, and also the photo. At the beginning of the component, I receive data from stored credentials. This data has been combined with the data received from Google. If you just use navigate to get into this page, you will receive yours from route.params. So over here, we see that I received the name, email, and photo URL. Now the email and photo URL are fine, but the name is problematic. This is because there is no name property from the data that comes from Google. So now I have to check the availability of the name. If it is available, I'll make use of it. Otherwise, I have to replace it with something like display name from Google. So to be able to replace the name, I need to change this const here to let. Now I check for the availability of the name. For the avatar image, which is the photo, something similar is happening here. I first check whether the photo URL is available. If it is available, we proceed to use that in our application. Otherwise, a default image is returned to be used as the profile. Now at this point, you have to ensure that the clear login function has been passed to the button. And as you can see here, the function has been passed to the onPress property of the logout button. Now using Expo build, we can build the APK for our application. But first, ensure that your app is running normally here without any errors.
One eternity later.
We ran the built APK on an actual device and signing in with Google works with no problems. One of the videos on your screen will show you how to reduce the size of your Expo React Native application. Check it out now.